On this episode of Mythbusters,
What are your plans, my master?
dial E for electrocution.
We're going to take over the world.
Oh, yes.
Could using a phone in a thunderstorm result in a call from the Almighty?
I'm feeling really Miami Vice right now.
Is it a boating blunder or a time-saving triumph? On the water with a new set of wheels? And it's a Civil War baby boom. Can getting shot get you pregnant? Who are the Mythbusters? Adam Savage
I reject your reality and substitute my own.
and Jamie Hyneman.
I kind of like it in here. It's private.
Between them, more than 30 years special effects experience.
That was intense.
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test.
Jimmy, I know the phone wasn't invented when you were born, but about the time you were growing up, were you ever told to stay off the phone in a lightning storm?
Yes, actually, we were told to stay off the phone, out of the shower, don't go under a tree, don't go out in the middle of a field with a large metal pole.
Yeah, that would be bad. Well, all the ones that occur inside a house that we've heard, from staying off the phone to staying out of the shower, we're going to test on this myth. Should you be on the phone in a lightning storm?
Here's the theory. Lightning strikes your house, or the phone or power cables leading to it, and it looks for the quickest way to the earth. Usually that's through a ground wire. But failing that, conductive wiring or metal plumbing is the fastest route. And if you happen to be hooked up to that... But can it actually happen? To find out, the Mythbusters need a house and lightning. The second part sounds tricky. But it turns out they're in luck. Pacific Gas and Electric has a facility specifically built to test the impact of lightning strike on electrical equipment.
Jamie, I think
like my house?
I think you should live here, man. It's great to visit a place that looks exactly like you think it should.
Yeah, it's a great place to recharge after a hard day's work. You need lots of space and lots of electricity.
They need so much electricity here, they use generators to make their own. So they don't black out all the houses for miles around.
This would be called man's feeble attempt to generate lightning. We can't even come close to generate what Mother Nature can generate.
Well, good for Mother Nature. How much can you generate?
What we can generate here is up to 700,000 volts at about 500,000 watts.
A real lightning bolt has more than 100 million volts, but 700,000 should do the trick. Now, before they get to fool about with lethal electricity, they need to build their stunt house.
We need a dial telephone, 2-inch conduit,
Yeah, might have that.
roofing shingles. What about telephone jack and telephone wires?
The Building Resource Center is where old houses come to rest in pieces. You want it? Chances are they've got it. And also stuff you didn't know you wanted till you found it.
There we go. Jamie, I think we might have finally found a way to control me. There you go.
Come here.
They aren't horsing around here. The stunt house has to be as close as possible to the real thing. Plumbing, wiring, and of course, the phone.
Okay, I found it.
Do you have? Ah, look
I
at
have to
that.
keep it in storage because this is the red phone. When this rings, you don't know what's going to happen.
Hello, Batman. Batman, it's Commissioner Gordon. Oh, this is great.
And sooner than you can say, holy Hyneman's handyman, our dynamic duo is ready to start swinging hammers.
The sample house I'm going to build is actually going to be fairly mobile. It's going to be on wheels. It's going to have full plumbing, full code electricity, exactly imitating what a house has. With a roof, with a pitched roof and shingles and exterior siding and everything like that. It's going to be pretty cool.
It's an old-fashioned Mythbusters barn raising.
I should have put it on while I was down. Ta-da!
There's even a shower, complete with its own tank and pump.
Oh, yeah. That works.
Yeah.
But now, the all-important issue of wiring.
The total goal of this experiment is to make this house entirely accurate to the exterior of a house. And we're not actually trying to imitate what happens when lightning hits a house. We want to see what happens when lightning hits the wiring to a house and where those electricity jolts might actually travel. I mean, mostly wiring is just about following a path correctly, understanding the closed circuit, and then everything's pretty simple. It's just when you start distributing it, it gets pretty complex pretty fast. That's a really kind of scary junction, isn't it?
In fact, it's often pretty scary when Adam has anything to do with electricity.
Come on! How hard is it to get a light bulb to light?
This is hot because I wanted to make sure it worked.
Question: how many Mythbusters does it take to change a light bulb?
I'm getting 120 volts, I'm just not getting any current.
Answer: just one. But you'll need to call in a certified electrician to make it work.
There we go.
Well, that was easy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hopefully, we're not going to have any more problems before the test.
So I'm not sure.
Stephen runs an eye over the entire setup and finds the wiring does meet California's building codes.
You sure this is plugged in?
I'm sure that it's
Plugged in?
Stephen, have you heard the myth or the tale that you should stay off the phone or stay out of the shower or not watch television or work on a computer during a lightning storm?
I can see the telephone or electric devices because if there's a strike in the house and you get a big surge, that would not be good for anything that's connected with wire in the house, be that a computer. I've certainly heard about people's computers pretty much melting and frying down. I've heard about problems with telephones, but I've never actually seen the melted pieces and held them in my hand.
Our little shotgun shack is all ready to go. We've got the computer set up, we've got 2 kinds of phones, we've got a television, we've got wall switches, plugs, junction boxes, everything to code, plus a shower that will be fully grounded, and we're ready to shoot lightning bolts at this thing. I mean, I've been ready to shoot lightning bolts at it from the beginning, but now we're officially ready.
And so Adam and Jamie will take their new home on the road. Its destiny is electrifying. But first, the Mythbusters have a date with history. It's a Civil War story to shrivel the confidence of any man.
Struck by a bullet in the family jewels
And stun any woman.
and caused her to become, in a family way,
Was there ever a pregnancy from making war, not love?
Guys, it's been a long time coming, but it's finally time to do.
Son of a gun.
Exactly.
All right.
One of the oldest and most bizarre medical myths. The story is about a young Civil War cavalryman who is shot by a musket ball. The bullet hits his tibia, ricochets off his tibia, goes right through his family jewels, and then pierces the womb of a woman standing on her porch watching the battle from 150 yards away. This bullet apparently still carried some viable genetic material because, as the story goes, she found herself very embarrassingly pregnant.
no.
Yes. Either they fell in love and got married, or he felt some sense of cosmic obligation, and they had several children together, and as the doctor stated, none of them looked as much like the soldier as the first one.
This story was first written up in the fancy American Medical Weekly in 1874, which leaves the Mythbusters 2 questions to answer. Could a bullet ricochet like that? And could the genetic material survive the trip? Let's face it, it was Civil War. They were strange, momentous times. Soldiers marched their way into history, armed with muskets and bayonets. and a changed nation was born. So why not a son of a gun? Turns out this is the perfect time to test this myth conception. There's a massive Civil War recreation going on not far from home base.
We have a Civil War event here in Kearney Park in Fresno. It's the largest Civil War event in the western United States. We're hoping to give people a taste of their history and their heritage.
Company commanders, front center! You're going to hold it just like this, and you're going to turn that cartridge upside down over the barrel.
Stand still here, and someone will regale you with Civil War facts you never knew, and probably didn't need to.
You'll then pull your hammer back one click to half cock. You then remove that.
It's ideal for the build team. They want to recreate this story exactly, starting with the gun.
Fire!
This rifle is a replica of an Enfield rifle musket, and this is a very typical weapon used during the Civil War by both armies. The story goes that, as I understand it, that it was a mini ball bullet that actually hit this cavalryman, and that's the bullet this weapon uses. This bullet was propelled by about 70 grains of black powder.
This weapon has a muzzle velocity of 1,000 feet per second, and a good marksman could hit a target 900 yards away.
I feel like charging right about now.
Look at this, Tori, you look excellent.
So they have their gun, but they say clothes maketh the man.
Oh, yeah.
What was the well-dressed gunshot victim wearing during the Civil War?
This is a pair of trousers that a Union soldier would be wearing. It is made of wool, as you can feel.
Wow.
Well, what about the underwear?
Soldiers, and of course anybody during that period, wore what was called long johns, and it was an overall piece. You know, a top and the bottom part connected.
And they even wore them during the summer?
No, wore them during the summer. Oh, yeah.
Now, something for the lady of the house. Something retro, maybe, with just a hint of immaculate conception.
She would have pantalettes and a chemise. She'd wear her corset over the top of that. And then she would have 4 to 5 petticoats. And then she'd put her dress on.
Tight.
Apparently, people weren't in such a hurry back then. And as the troops ready themselves for battle, the build team has learned enough to start work on its own Civil War recreation of the reproductive kind.
When they say they're measuring out 70 grains of black powder, they're not actually talking about individual grains. 70 grains is going to be measured in this powder measure here.
Carrie's scaring the neighbors as she perfects the black powder cartridges.
Well, looks like it works.
No human error can be involved here. We have to get this right. So I'm going to make a gun mount, a gun holder that we can aim really precisely.
More than a mount, Scotty aims to fit that old musket with a genuine Civil War laser sight.
We're gonna make one with a human bone that's dried, and then one with the veal bone, the little baby cow bone.
For his part in all this, Buster's getting a new leg, a real bone suspended in Ballistic's gel. Yes, Buster's going to take another one for the team. But there's already a problem with his uniform.
No, you just ripped that, Tori. Oh, man. Buster, you got a big old hole in your backside.
To be honest, with the experiments the Mythbusters are planning, a hole in his backside is the least of Buster's worries. Well, we all knew it would happen one day.
What are your plans, my master?
We're going to take over the world.
Oh, yes. Yes.
The evil scientist in Jamie and Adam has finally busted loose. They're about to wreak massive global havoc. They'll start conservatively with this little playhouse. They've brought it to Pacific Gas and Electric's testing facility to tackle the myth that lightning can travel down your home's wiring or pipes and kill you while you're on the phone or in the shower.
So this is the arc. This is what the arc will actually come off of.
Why not?
This facility can generate up to 700,000 volts, but by using half that, they'll get more amps. It's that flowing current that does the damage. And since everyone's feeling pretty good about being alive, Chip, the ballistics gel dummy, will be taking hits for the team. The gel has similar electrical resistance to human flesh, and Chip is grounded to the earth like a person standing up.
This electrode will give us about 200,000 volts. Now that's enough to make it jump across the 2 feet here, through these wires, down either into the electrical box here or through the phone lines.
Our test subject here, Chip, is set up with a phone strapped to his ear. We've also taped in some gunpowder in a little paper baggie here. And finally, we have our Mythbusters patented heart paddle current meter setup, where we've got 2 copper paddles set up right where the heart would be. And if we read more than 6 milliamps of current across these lines, we know we've got a dead guy.
The Mythbusters have added a couple of common appliances for realism, but connecting to mains power during a test would be dangerous, so they're left off.
Well, I mean, we'll be able to see what the effect on a television or your computer is if you've got it plugged in during a thunderstorm. But unfortunately, we won't be able to have them running during our test.
I think what's going to happen when we zap the house is that we're going to see this nice long arc jumping from the electrode into the house. We may see a few little things sizzling and burning, and if we're lucky, we'll find a pathway that could realistically happen that will, show up on the meters as potential death.
We've done our best to duplicate in several different iterations what kind of wiring a lightning bolt is likely to encounter, but it's very unpredictable stuff, and even the guys here aren't exactly sure what will happen.
The only thing the experts can be sure about in this test is they don't want to be standing anywhere near it when it happens.
Barricaded off from a safe distance from the structure, a barricade position that people down here will have to stay behind during the test. Okay.
Here's how this will work. Electricity can jump through air. Every 10,000 volts adds about 1 centimeter to the distance.
Closing 200 over 5.
With the electrode in this position, when the charge reaches between 200,000 and 300,000 volts, it will zap across to the house. It's a waiting game as the charge builds. Their mad scientist fantasy is coming to life. That was 300,000 volts straight into the house's wiring. It generates an electromagnetic pulse strong enough to throw our remote camera out of focus.
No smoking, no sparks.
No smoke, no sparks, no sparks from the phone.
Incredibly, Chip's phone call is uninterrupted.
Well, everything seems just like we left it. No problem, no reaction whatsoever. I don't think he got any current.
The jolt exited straight out the ground wire standard to most homes. But remember, this shock is much smaller than real lightning. So Adam will help it by creating the worst possible scenario.
What I'm going to do is, there's no facility in the world can generate both the voltage and the amperage of an actual lightning bolt. Both together make this massive amount of electricity that will crawl across all sorts of wires. So I'm going to start cutting some grounds to the electrical wiring system and try and guide the electricity over to our person to see what would happen to the phone. There we go.
So, now minus the ground wire. Can that thin telephone cord carry a fatal charge?
100 kV. He's hot. He's going up in voltage.
150,000. 200,000.
200,000.
220, 230.
actually worked.
That was beautiful.
The lightning arced from the mouthpiece into Chip's head, setting off Jamie's charge. The jolt finding its way with disturbing accuracy.
That was awesome. I can't believe that worked so well.
Are we clear?
Do you want us to put out the fire?
I'll just blow it out.
Well, that worked like a charm. Did it fry the ear too?
No, it doesn't look like it did anything with the ear.
No, it didn't do anything with the ear. So a new phone, it arced through the mouthpiece and into the body. That's pretty serious.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's it right there as far as I'm concerned. You know, this is a standard phone. It arced through the mouthpiece of the phone. That's a lot of current to go through gel. So,
well, we can check and see what kind of current it is.
Yeah.
Remember, 6 milliamps across Chip's heart paddles would indicate a fatal shock. But there's a problem. The meter's blown.
We had it set on the 40 milliamp setting, which is more than enough to kill you. If it fried the fuse of this meter, that was a lot more than 40 milliamps going through it, and that's a dead guy.
Works for me.
So it seems it's myth confirmed. Even with a modern phone and modern wiring, you can be struck by lightning. As a second test, they'll try an older phone and an older style fuse box.
Closing 200 over 2, going up.
That sound is kind of ominous, isn't it?
That frying egg sound of the ozone.
200,000.
This time, Jamie's gunpowder didn't ignite, but Chip's was definitely hit, and the meter blew again.
We definitely still got continuity through the body and into the ground.
Well, I'm satisfied. Phones will do it. Phones and lightning.
Phones and lightning, bad, bad, bad.
Lightning fatality statistics bear that out. On average, about 75 Americans are killed by lightning each year, with 2% of those people talking on the phone at the time. The only good news for Chip's next of kin, powered up, the TV and computer still work fine.
I think it's time to move on to see if showers and lightning are a similarly deadly combination.
Let's do it.
Okay.
So, Chip's electrifying adventures continue, thrown out of the frying pan and into the shower.
There we go. That is too funny. People have written into the site and specifically told us that they were always warned as children never to take a shower during a thunderstorm. We have grounded plumbing, which is running near electrical wire. We're hoping for a short between the electrical wire and the plumbing. And then our guy here, I've put a ground wire directly into him. This is basically equivalent to if you're standing in the shower and you're standing on the drain, which is also grounded. He looks beautiful.
Now, the guys learned in the third rail myth that fluid streams aren't great conductors. The liquid breaks up, so there's no direct path. But at these voltages, who knows?
They're ready to go. Ramp it up.
140 kV.
It's a lot.
Okay, proceed and close 200 over 2.
Okay, we're up to 243, almost 250 kV.
I hear it. Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
It's amazing.
I'm not sure what I saw, but I saw it.
Only the Mythbusters could manage to start a fire in the shower.
There you go. Here.
So, Chips is saved from the fire, but was he already toast? The meter is inconclusive again. The electromagnetic pulse that messed with our camera could be frying it too. Even so, there seems little doubt you don't want to be in the shower during a
I I don't care what the meter says. We're not even remotely approaching the actual strength of real lightning, and nobody can. And yet we're getting these massive arcs dancing across this guy's body.
Arcs the size of boa constrictors that are kind of like wiggling right next to you. You kind of get the hint that there's going to be a problem there somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking at phone confirmed, shower plausible.
I'd say that's a safe bet. That amount of voltage and power can go anywhere, and so if you have a lightning storm, you want to minimize the possibility of exposure to the bolts.
Stay away from things that can conduct lightning to you. Appliances can do it, water can do it, your plumbing can do it. Stay away from those things. I think we're done.
The Civil War was the bloodiest conflict on American soil. 4 years, 600,000 dead. But amid all that misery, could a life have been created? Was there a son of a gun?
There was a gentleman out on the battlefield, and he was struck by a bullet in the family jewels.
Continues on, hits a young lady in the abdomen and impregnates her.
Just for now, forget making a baby. Could a bullet even make the journey from leg to, well, a private's privates?
Cavalrymen oftentimes fought dismounted. It's very hard to hit anything sitting on a horse, or horses move. When they dismount, they tend to kneel. It gives them better accuracy, a position like so. All right? So, if someone is firing at me, the bullet hits me in the lower leg, continues on, and who knows what's behind me.
So it looks plausible. And now Buster gets to play the unhappiest cavalryman in the world in what will be the first of 2 tests. The Mythbusters need to see if a mini ball fired from their Enfield musket could pass through a leg and still have enough energy to fly on for hundreds of yards.
3, 2, 1. Oh, low.
Low and to the left.
Come a little more left.
Civil War expert and marksman Jim Mitchell is helping adjust the sights. But darned if they just don't keep missing.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Do you think the laser's jiggling when we fire it?
Could be the recoil, yeah.
Come to our to your left, half inch.
Good.
There.
Perfect.
3, 2, 1.
It's low and to the right this time.
It was a lot lower.
Ay, ay, ay.
All right, well, clearly modern technology is not helping us out here. We're gonna have to do this old-fashioned way. Think you can pull off this shot?
Sure.
There you go, sir.
Very good.
We've got Buster set up with a artificial calf, which is ballistics gel with a real tibia and fibula in it. Jim's going to aim for that, and we're going to catch on this grid back here a high-speed shot of what that bullet's exit velocity is.
If Jim hits the leg in exactly the right point and the bullet leaves, we will be able to measure the speed that it leaves at and be able to tell whether it would be possible for the bullet to travel the other 150 yards and hit the woman.
So in the interests of ballistic investigation, Buster gets a brand new leg. But long and bitter experience has taught him not to get too attached to his limbs. And that is especially the case today.
All right. In 3, 2, 1.
We have pieces of bone.
Traveling 1,000 feet per second, the mini ball passed straight through Buster's leg, blowing out a piece of bone on the way.
It looks like it went through the ballistics gel and it just collapsed. All right, let's get another leg over here.
They've prepared several legs with different types of bone for comparison. And despite the vintage weapon, Jim is deadly accurate every time.
That feels like a bone hit to me. I don't know.
Completely
Do you think that was
shattered
it?
at the bottom, yes.
That was the most recent hit?
Yes.
All right.
So, and right on center.
Even passing through leg and bone, the bullet's still too fast for the high speed, around 1,000 feet per second.
Well, whatever the speed it actually is going, the bottom line is this. We know that the bullet is capable of actually going through all the clothing, penetrating the bone and the flesh, and still keeping going at a deadly velocity.
Absolutely.
So,
the myth is not busted right here where we thought it might be.
Yeah.
It's passing right through all that stuff, so it's time to move on to the womb and see if we can bust it there.
All right.
So the next test will have a womb with a view to busting this 150-year-old myth and laying to rest this story of an impossible baby and the most unlikely of marriages.
We heard it was honor. I heard he limped back and married the girl because it was a virgin birth and he wanted to keep her honor.
Well, the Yankees would say that about themselves, but if it really happened on the Yankee side, her daddy had to go get a shotgun. We know what they're like.
It's a big day out for the Mythbusters.
I'm feeling really Miami Vice right now.
They're going boating.
Waves, woo!
But this is no ordinary cruise.
So what kind of speed are you getting now, Jamie?
They're going to recreate the dumbest mistake on the high seas.
Carrie, I'm trying to figure out what this is from the title, and it's not making any sense. What is Trailer Troubles?
This is actually about inexperienced boaters. They were taking their boat out. The boat just wouldn't get any horsepower. It wouldn't go. It couldn't get above 5 miles an hour. So they took it back to dock. They called their repairman to come find out why the boat's just not working. The repairman shows up. He tries the motor. He tries everything. Seems to be okay. Dunks his head under the water. Realizes the trailer's still attached.
This is bound to catch on. Boating with the trailer attached. The Mythbusters are going to need some nautical know-how to live this dream. Jay Meiswinkle is their man. He's helped out before on the scuba diver myth.
Hey, Jay. Hey, Jay.
In his capacity as outboard motor guru, Jay has heard it all. Even this myth.
The last time I heard it was about 1.5 years ago, and it was emailed to one of the parts guys up front, and he printed it out, sent it back to me, and it basically said the same thing. Some things are considered amphibious, and they just figured it was supposed to be there.
Fortunately, Jay shares the Mythbusters' passion for the preposterous.
This is like what I had when I was a kid.
And better yet, he has a 13-foot Boston whaler he's willing to lend to the cause.
The boat dog.
This is Ruger. He goes boating more than most boats.
All right, Jay, so what do we need to do to prepare this boat for this test?
Well, the boat is already strapped to the trailer, but we will be adding a couple of more straps on there just to help you with the myth, not to recreate the entire incident, but to make it more plausible and safe for you.
Now, Boston whalers have a reputation as being extremely hard to sink. This one has a 25 horsepower motor, but funnily enough, has never been tested trailer on. Sometimes the only way to get to the bottom of a myth is jump right in. Of course, that's also the way to get to the bottom of the bay.
I guess the worst case scenario is that we could sink, but we're not short a Coast Guard, so maybe the worst case scenario is a cranky Coast Guardman yells at me a lot.
You know what the worst case scenario is going to be?
What?
A bunch of people around here are going to see us launch the boat with a trailer attached and then take off, and they're going to say, look at what that blonde is doing.
Now, you won't even find this in the lesson plan for Boat Launching 101 because it's just too obvious. When you launch your boat, you back it in, float it off the trailer, and the trailer stays with the car. Happy days.
I got a GPS system so we can track how fast we're going in the water.
Cool.
So while you're driving, I know exactly how wily you're getting.
The plan is to test the boat without the trailer first, to see just how fast it can go under normal conditions. Or as normal as they can be with Rev Head Scotty at the wheel.
Let's see what this baby's got. Woo! Yeah! 14, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21. Hey, if we throw the cameraman overboard, we'll be a little lighter, we'll go faster.
Hey, look at all those poor fools going to work today. 23 is our top speed so far.
So, Carrie and Scotty have proved you can have a whale of a time in a whaler doing 23 miles an hour. So now, throttling back a little, the real test. How will it perform trailer on?
The way we're actually going to do this is disconnect it before it goes in the water and put a line or a tow strap on it, and then just kick up the front wheel and it'll support itself to roll in there with the trailer. You don't want to try to submerge the boat and trailer with the truck, because then you're going to have to put a snorkel on the truck.
Is this how you would strap it on if you wanted to get the boat in the water with the trailer?
This is how the Myth would be. They would have normal transfer straps holding the trailer on, but since we're testing, we're going to add some more.
These straps shouldn't affect the boat's performance, or lack of it, just make it more secure. And now, perhaps the biggest question of the test, all strapped up, would the boat even float?
Is she buoyant yet?
No, it'll take a little bit. Yeah, that's floating. That thing's really buoyant.
Yeah, look at that.
It's still afloat, and so is the Myth. Now the hard work is done, Jamie and Adam have arrived for the fun part.
My prediction is that it will significantly slow the boat down. I know from experience with these kinds of boats that anything at all that's on the bottom, like barnacles or anything like that, will dramatically reduce the speed that the boat's capable of. And I can't think of much worse than a trailer to attach to the bottom of a boat as far as slowing it down.
My prediction on the speed with the trailer attached, if the top speed was 22 miles an hour, I'll say 8 or 9 miles per hour.
With that boat and that engine, I'd say we're going to get between 6 to 10 miles an hour at most out of it.
With barely a thought for their seafaring reputations, Scotty and Jamie take the new trailer whaler for a spin, a very slow spin.
It's already moving kind of sluggish for that speed, isn't it?
Come on!
Got it!
So what kind of speed are you getting, Jamie?
We're going 4.7 miles per hour, and we're at full throttle. Whoa, we hit 4.8 for a moment there. That's flat out, right?
That's flat out. It does not go any faster.
Sure, it's slow, but even so, it seems this myth is entirely plausible.
So maybe those people weren't as stupid as we originally thought.
What are you doing?
What's our speed?
It's not helping.
Do you think it's worth trying to ride just right out of the water onto the ramp?
Well, that'd certainly be a lot more interesting than doing what we're doing now.
So it works, and maybe the Mythbusters are onto something. The amphibious runabout.
Yeah! That makes boating much easier. I think we're going to start a new trend here.
Something tells me that you'll be in the shop this weekend, Jamie, working out a motor drive for these. So what was our maximum speed?
4.8 miles per hour.
4.8 miles an hour, under our lowest estimate.
Kind of a slow jog.
Well, this is one of those myths that worked out so well, almost too well.
So I think it's totally, a reasonable myth that, it could have happened.
In fact, it has happened at least once.
We had to deliver a new boat and trailer to a customer of ours who had a ramp in the back of his house. But during his original design, he did not think of trying to put the trailer to the back of his house. In doing so, the best thing we could come up with was to launch a 19-foot Boston whaler with the trailer about a mile away, and we just kind of putted on over there with the trailer attached to it.
So, this is a rare day for the Mythbusters. Not only have they replicated a myth, they've verified that it's happened in real life.
That's a pretty small boat, too. I mean, it had a small motor, small boat with an 80% loss of power. I think with a larger boat, it'd be much easier to drive around and not realize that your loss of power is because you've been an idiot and left the trailer on.
Confirmed, but totally goofy.
Easily confirmed, easily goofy.
The Mythbusters have shown, ballistically at least, the son of a gun myth is possible. But now, a setback. While the term son of a gun does stem from those times, it seems it has nothing to do with this myth.
Sailors lived on the gun deck, and so that's where they fraternized. So a son of a gun is a child that is conceived on the gun deck of a British man of war.
And on that naughty nautical note, it's back to the range, where no such shenanigans are tolerated.
I don't know.
The Mythbusters are setting up their second experiment, which will test if viable genetic material can be carried on a bullet.
This would represent the 15 layers of petticoats and various undergarments that the women of that era would have on.
Ballistic's gal is the eventual target in this experiment.
We'll kind of arrange it like so, like a skirt, and there you go.
What I'm wondering is how to aim through a bag towards a target you can't see.
200 feet away, Civil War expert Jim Mitchell is contemplating the most unusual shot of his life.
As this I'm going to need to shoot off a bench. So
he not only has to hit Ballistic's gal, but on the way there, the bullet has to pass through this pouch of Civil War trouser material. And in the pouch, well, let's just say a sample of genetic legacy has been obtained and dyed blue for easier visibility.
Genetic legacy? It's sperm. Any kid in grade school knows that. Helps make babies, you know?
It's still viable.
Oh, there's one.
Oh, one's swimming, there's one. Look.
Yeah.
Dude. He's like, yeah, check
Yeah, we got a few
yeah.
here. So, I'm going to put the sample in this cloth bag that simulates the 4 layers of cloth, 2 layers of long johns and 2 layers of woolen pants, and we will fire through these.
If any blue swimmers wind up in Ballistic's gal, well, we're probably getting ahead of ourselves. They hardly know each other.
By setting up these circumstances the way that we believe the myth says, we'll be able to prove that it is so unlikely that it might as well be said that it's impossible.
once it goes through that, there's no guarantee it's going to go straight.
Right.
We'll do our best, but
this myth has stood untested for nearly 150 years and now hangs on Jim's aim.
Everyone's ready? In 3, 2, 1. Bloody hell, I think he did it. Wow. That's amazing. He did it on the first try. That's just incredible.
It went all the way through.
It did?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Do you have a scraper?
Yes, I do.
I guess I should scrape the entry, huh?
Yeah. Oh, that's a perfect shot.
I know, I can't believe you pulled that off.
Amazing. Jim, that was just a perfect shot. It's really stunning.
Jim's done his part. Now, entry wound samples will be examined under a microscope for traces of still viable genetic material. But first, spare a thought for our hero and heroine. Could the unhappy cavalryman have survived this wound? Could Ballistic's gal have lived to tell her unfortunate tale? Constance Smith Golda is at the cutting edge of Civil War medicine.
So say Tori here's a Union soldier. You have to treat him anyway. And he has had a mini ball go through his tibia and proceed through his... Will he survive?
It depends on how quickly he's gotten medical attention right on the battlefield. If you can get a tourniquet on you and stop the bleeding, and they can get you back to a field hospital or a field station like this one within, oh, say an hour, yes, we can try very hard to save your life.
So the woman that actually gets hit with this bullet, is she going to be able to survive?
If I'm not going to be naked in front of my husband when I am bearing his child or conceiving his child, I am not going to get naked in front of a strange doctor in the middle of a battlefield hospital and have him look at me. She probably would have bled to death out of embarrassment more than anything else.
Well, that's a blow, but back to the experiment. Did the bullet deposit genetic material in Ballistic's gal?
We're scanning for any residue. Keep on moving. Well, if anything was moving, you'd see it.
Yeah.
I don't see anything.
I know, I don't even see any things that look like our cells.
I mean, I can see all sorts of stuff, like the thread residue, the burn residue, pieces of the petticoat. I mean, there's tons of identifiable stuff in here, but none of it is genetic.
Keep going. Keep going.
So, at a distance of 200 feet, nothing was transferred from the pouch to Ballistic's gal. As a double check, they try again from 50 feet.
3, 2, 1.
This time, Ballistic's gal is brought in for a more thorough exam.
Okay. You know what? We're just not finding anything. I mean, we fired right through that bag of genetic material from 50 feet away. I really think we've done the best effort to find anything.
A birds and bees reality check is in order here. Yes, sperm does form in the testes, but the mature guys live higher up. And while one mature sperm causes fertilization, many are needed to first break down the walls of a woman's egg. A lucky survivor on the end of a bullet just won't do it. So how did the myth start?
Constance, why do you think people tell this story?
Because it's a wonderful, dirty story. Everyone's salacious. We want to talk about what someone else did. Plus, there were a number of young ladies that really desperately had to explain how that child got here.
It seems after all that, this great Civil War myth was really just a great, embarrassed cover-up.
But there was some truth to this myth, that a mini ball could go through fabric, through flesh and bone, and easily go 150 yards.
Yeah, but despite Jim's remarkable shot, there's just no way any biological material would survive on that hot bullet, even over 50 feet. We found burn marks on the petticoat and still weren't able to find anything in our scrapings.
So I think that myth is pretty much busted. I never get tired of doing that. Never. Busted.